support the agency doing to encourage any decrease in those prices?
Well, we don't have, obviously the prices are met on the private sector, on a market, so we don't have direct impact on that market.
Like killing drilling in Anwar?
No, that has nothing to do with the price today.
Oh my gosh. So okay, first off, that's Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm, and she's speaking there about taking questions about energy impact and U.S. energy production. Welcome back to the program. Top of this second hour, Dana Loesch with you. Listen coast to coast, and you can also watch the simulcast of the radio program, YouTube, Facebook, Channel 347, Direct TV. A caveat there, and she's trying to play on people's unawareness of how the global market production with regards to the global market works. So she's saying, well, it's not going to have an impact on the price today, having the leases from the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge up there in Alaska. That's not the point, though. We're not talking about today. She's playing a semantics game with you because and she begs the question because she gives you an answer based on a premise that that's not your point. That wasn't what you were asking. People weren't talking about, well, what can immediately impact this today? We're talking about overall. And she's like, well, suspending those leases, canceling the leases isn't going to impact gas prices today. No, it impacts the ability for the United States to be, energy independent and also to be a net exporter again, which is what we were previously before that was all changed with this new administration. And she's counting on you not knowing that. They like to make fun of people by presupposing that you're arguing that we're just taking oil from there and we're just going to refine it and use it for ourselves as opposed to sending it to Houston and adding it to the global market. And yet they're the ones who they think that's funny, but yet they're the ones who act like somehow readjusting and restructuring the entire energy sector of the United States and patterning it on rare earth elements and quote unquote green tech, that becoming more reliant on China for that energy and tech than we are OPEC right now is somehow better or greener or etc. It's silly. And if she sits here and argues that, her point, she's like, well, we don't have, we can't do anything to lower gas prices. You can't do anything to lower gas prices? Well, then why were you releasing out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve? Exactly. What the hell do you think? What were you doing there? If you think that you can't control gas prices, why were you depleting our reserve? If you think that you can't control gas prices, why the hell do you have the president going hat in hand asking Venezuela for crude? Why was he begging the Saudis? If you didn't think that we couldn't control, it's just what a stupid position. If you didn't think that we couldn't control gas prices, for the love. That's one of the things that we were doing. They were trying to say, it's going to help with inflation. We're going to release everything from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Well, look how well that didn't work. And we depleted our reserve. Now, we just don't have the direct impact on the market. Really, it's the number one driver for inflation right now. What do you mean you can't control and you don't think it has impact on the market? How is she in this position? Again, they hire people for these positions that don't know anything about them. It's like having me as, Kane, I just told you this, it's like having me be the secretary for football. Imagine that. So goofy. But this is the thing. I read this headline. 4 in 10 investors say higher prices are destroying plans for people's retirement. Rising gas prices, pushing up the rate of inflation, almost 4%. All kinds of stuff. I told you 61% living paycheck to paycheck. Did you hear this? I don't even know what charging anxiety is. Have you heard about this? Charging anxiety? No. The CEO of Ford, Jim Farley, he was asked about, because they're apparently producing 600,000 electric vehicles per year by 2024. And he said, quote, we're going into the mass consumers who have a lot of charging anxiety. Charging anxiety. And he said that people are not willing to pay a premium. Charging anxiety. This is like being forced upon people before the market actually wants it. They said they were talking about their hybrids, their everything else. They said they think EVs are going to be a significant a chunk of their business. They just don't know. The charging anxiety. People are worried, I guess, about the charging network. There was a joint venture that called for about 30,000 charging stations across the U.S. and Canada. This sounds like a snobby suburbanite's problem or solution to a problem that exists in their own mind. You're creating a bigger issue than needs to be. And it's based upon the lie that all of this stuff is greener. There are more greenhouse gases produced through the extraction of rare earth elements, the processing of rare earth elements, the manufacturing of all of the materials needed to fabricate all of these EVs and everything else, as opposed to the clean extraction methods that we have pioneered with oil and gas, which, by the way, replenish over time. It's the way it works. So they had this project that's coordinated by BMW, GM, Honda, Kia, several others. They want to have 30,000 chargers installed in the U.S. and Canada. And they want to build out this network, is what they had said. I don't care if you do build out the network. I don't think it's practical. I'm not judging somebody if they want to have an EV. I'm not even going to relitigate this. We've talked about it. But you're reliant upon coal still. Where do you think electricity comes from? It's like these people don't know how energy is made. Where the hell y'all think electricity comes from? Over 85% of it comes from coal-powered plants. The majority of it. Oh no, but it's cleaner. Because see, we're not drilling for oil and gas. Oh yeah, it's cleaner. So we're stripping the land and creating all kinds of carcinogenic byproducts by dirtily extracting rare earth elements in a very laborious process that we don't actually do here in the United States. China, the #1 polluter on the planet, does, with no worker protections, no environmental protections. They're the ones who do it. And because they do it and you don't, you think this absolves you of the original sin of pollution? EVs are the political indulgence for the feeble-minded people who like to pose about being environmentalists. That's what it is. If you tell me that you drive an EV because you think it's clean, I literally will think that you are too stupid to associate with. Because it's true. And where's the left on this? See, if the left really believed what they believe about everything, they would be asking why so many suburban Americans, city-dwelling Americans, why are you all pushing pollution towards China and other lesser developed nations that are tasked with the dangerous job of mining your indulgent elements? What about all the people who are dying of cancer from the carcinogenic byproducts in China? There's whole cancer villages over there. Or, to say nothing, there was no outrage, aside from one piece from ABC a few years ago about 20,000 children that were hand mining cobalt in Congo. No outrage over that. No, it's so that Karen can feel better about herself when she goes and charges her EV, and then she can parade her virtue around like a modern day Pharisees. Look at me. I care so much about the earth. I mean, yes, there were children that had to mine the cobalt for use in making this product. And yes, there's carcinogenic byproducts and the stripping of the earth that resulted in the other elements needed to make my EV. But it's not happening where I can see it, thus it doesn't exist. These people are dumber than, babies at least develop object permanence. But progressive left with their EV stuff, they do not.